The Democratic Alliance will today unveil the party's alternative to NSFAS student funding model. The party says that the students are facing eviction as they have not received any funds for accommodation. Let's bring in our SABC News reporter, Abra Barbier, for more on this story. Abra, good morning. Thank you so much for making time for us. So what do we expect to hear from the Democratic Alliance around the NSFAS fund, and also considering the concerns that have been raised by some of these students who have still not been paid?
Aldrin, good morning to you as well. I've just been handed the document, the DA position paper, which is what they are going to be taking us through this morning. It basically is an alternative to the current NSFAS system, which the DA, of course, says is troublesome. There are lots of issues. We know about the crisis at the NSFAS at the moment, and the DA just feels that it has a better alternative to what is currently on the table. Just reading, I've just briefly gone through this. Some of the suggestions that the DA is making is providing proportional assistance to those in the missing middle who can afford to pay a portion of the expenses. The funding model of loans will also be combined to include scholarships as an option. Converting loans into bursaries will be considered based on the academic performance, and then higher education will not be free for those who can afford to pay their tuition. So these are just some of the examples that the party is going to be unpacking for us this morning. Obviously, they will give us a more in-depth breakdown of their position. And in terms of the students, Aldrin, what I can tell you is I was in a committee meeting yesterday, higher education. The committee sat yesterday and met with UCT, with UNISA, and with Fort Hare. And all these institutions basically came to speak about governance issues as well as financial issues affecting those institutions. And something that really stood out, one of the Labour gentlemen who from the Western Cape, who was there speaking for the UCT students, he stood up and he actually said that his proposals, he said government needs to please come up with a new mechanism. And he said he's not just speaking on behalf of UCT, he said he was speaking on behalf of students around the country, because he says as things stand, students in South Africa cannot move forward, their lives cannot progress because of the financial situation many of them find themselves in. And they even gave an example of one student who owes something like R500,000 to his or her institution. And he asked, how is that student ever going to move forward in life? And he said that that amount might as well be written off, because how is that student ever going to be able to get that money? And we also know of the many protests and concerns raised by students around the country. There was a protest to Parliament just a few weeks ago as well. Students are complaining about lack of accommodation. They are complaining about going hungry. They haven't received their allowances. So this obviously at this time of the year, when we are edging closer and closer to final examinations, this obviously is something that is of concern to them and the institutions.